two very brief questions. One for Rabbi Boteach and one for Professor Hitchens. Professor Hitchens is wondering if I could speak to
Adjunct Professor Hitchens.
Excuse me?
Adjunct visiting professor.
Thank you. Adjunct visiting Professor Hitchens. I was wondering if I could speak to you after, for possibly you would come and speak at Yeshiva University later on. And Rabbi Boteach, in one of Professor Hitchens, or Adjunct Professor Hitchens'
Adjunct visiting Professor.
Adjunct visiting Professor Hitchens' scripts, he sardonically refers to the Rambam's quote of V'afal pi sheyitmamea, that, though he may tarry, how the Mashiach may tarry, the Messiah may tarry. I was wondering how you would reply or respond or interpret that halacha in Sefer Melachim.
I think we all believe that the perfection of humanity, society, our political system, our economic system, economic inequality is something that tarries. It takes a long, darn time, and that's what we're speaking about. Messianism is about raising humanity to a more perfect state, society to a more perfect state. It's a very long, drawn-out process. I find it astonishing that in the year 2010, only 60% of the world's countries are democracies. We all thought that the end of the Soviet Union would presage the world of democracy, but that's not what's happening. It is a long, drawn-out process. Let me also just say, when Professor Hitchens, goodbye, Paul. Thank you so much for coming. God bless you. When Christopher Hitchens, adjunct visiting professor of God denial studies at our organization, when he said that about the genital mutilation, first of all, I was squirming over here. I'm just hoping I'm not mutilated. He said at the beginning of the debate that this debate, that we have to follow the evidence. You can't just call it genital mutilation when science is now saying that the best way to guarantee the end of the spread of AIDS in Africa is through circumcision, and now African countries are trying to get people to circumcise themselves and mutilate themselves so that they stop the spread of AIDS. That is a scientific fact. I didn't make that up. I was even surprised to read it. It's now being practiced all over Africa, trying to get men to circumcise themselves, circumcise their sons, so that AIDS does not spread. Female genital mutilation, which makes it, and I know, I've written a few books about sexuality. Of course, when you remove a woman's clitoris and she can no longer feel sexual pleasure, that's a denial of the beauty of sexuality. And sex is a beautiful thing, not for procreation, but because of the pleasurable experiences that two people can have that draw them closer and wash them away in a sea of positive emotion that transforms their relationship. But circumcision has not shown that does that to boys. And there are other studies that would, but the AIDS thing has always impressed me, and I was wondering what Christopher had to say about it. Sure, the spread of AIDS. No, there's been all these important studies about it from the World Health Organization. If there are doctors here who know more about it, you should even...
There are two very simple replies to that. One is from the Rambam Maimonides himself, who says that the point of circumcision is to try and diminish the turbulence of the relevant member and to blunt it as far as possible while making it compatible with procreation. That's explicitly given as the reason. It's also why he says it must be done to the child, because someone older might be too aware of the pain and discomfort and loss of sensation and not do it. Now, if you want to say, we'll practice this on the people of Africa instead, so they'll not get AIDS, well, lots of luck, but that's not what the recommendation is, and any grown person or person of sexual maturity in Africa who wants to do that may do it, but I am not going to say, and I'm shocked to hear anyone appear to disagree, that it would be for me to take an African baby on my knee and remove and strip away its foreskin and prepuce, on the off chance it might later be a sexually promiscuous person. This is monstrous. It's like eugenics. It's like genetic engineering. We have no right, and we've no right to overlook what the true motive is. Same for male as for female, to carry on religion's enduring war against sex. There. By the way, yes, I will come and talk at the yeshiva if I'm spared.
God willing.
And if you can...
Well, that means we're just going to pray harder, but okay.
And if you can raise my price.
Hitch, you look great, and keep it up, and I think we all agree with the rabbi. We hope you're around for a very long time to come. Thank you very much for tonight.
Thank you.
But you've warned us not to spare you, and so I want to kind of press you a little bit on something you said. I'm very interested in hearing the rabbi's opinion as well. You mentioned Eugenio Pacelli, Pope Pius XII, I think everyone's familiar with him, and so forth. You also mentioned that you just met Benedict XVI, who just landed in Hitch's home country, I guess, earlier today. And Hitch, I've heard you make this point before, and you did it tonight again, where you mentioned that he was a member of Hitler's youth. But isn't it true that he was mandatorily conscripted into that he deserted from the army as soon as he possibly could, that his father and mother opposed the Nazi regime, and that he actually had a cousin with Down syndrome who was killed by the Nazis? So is it unfair for you to sort of slander him as a member of Hitler's youth in light of that? And Rabbi, I'd be very interested in hearing what you think of that.
Well, no, it's not, because I won't be told by anyone who was a member that my beliefs are National Socialist. That was my original point. Second, in his memoir, which I've read, very slender little memoir, he does mention being conscripted into the Nazi army and says you couldn't get away from it. That's what every single German has always said. There was nothing you could do, you had to play along. We have the examples of many, many very brave, including many brave atheist Germans, to give that the lie. Yes, you could get out of it. There were all kinds of ways you could. But let's suppose, for the military service he wasn't able to, he doesn't happen to mention that he was ever in the Hitler Youth. He didn't come up with the excuse that you had to do that too, till it was pointed out to him, and by historical archivists, that he had done that as well. Wouldn't you rather it had been the other way around? That he'd first said he'd done it and then said he had to, rather than being found out to have done it and then said he had no choice. And if that's the level of his morality and his compromise with evil, then what's he doing? I don't care about him as an individual. What's he doing giving moral lectures to everybody else? He falls below the average standard of the German citizen, who in their majority never voted for the Third Reich, though they were ordered by the Catholic Center Party in the Reichstag to make the monstrous leader of that party into the Chancellor of the German Republic. This record is very plain. This record is very plain. The Catholic Church comes before us as an organization that, where Nazism is discussed, has only just begun to apologize for its role, its disgusting, bemurdered role, and will never be able to apologize enough as long as the memory of that atrocity remains real to us. From these people, excuse me, I will take no lectures in morality ever on any terms, on any subject. Okay. Enough from me.
Can I just say, just because we're over time, we're going to go to 9:30, so please don't think this is ad infinitum. 6 minutes and that'll be it, okay? So let's make the questions much quicker,
okay,
please.
I'll be quick.
Hello, Scott.
Hi.
Hey, Scotty.
Brother Shmuley. Hey, Hitch. You said you're 100% against people forcing religion on people.
Correct.
Why is it okay for parents to force it on their children? How can you teach children religion without forcing it on them? They have no scientific defense yet. I'd like to know about that. And as far as the Pope goes, if the Pope was atheist instead of Catholic, would you still say he's an honorable man, despite the fact that he's looking the other way on children being tortured? Finally, I've been praying.
Scott, I said we got 6 minutes.
One last thing. I've been praying for 25 years to all the gods for WABC to hire a black host. What am I doing wrong? Am I kneeling the wrong way, or what's going on? Anyway, thank you.
Well, now the people at WABC, my very dear friend Lori and all the others now know the Scott Pellegrino who torments WABC, right? But Scott has a lot of good in him. You got to dig deep. No, I'm kidding. Scott's a very good friend. He comes to our house for Shabbos all the time, and he torments me, okay? Very quickly, come on, Scott, let's get real. Parents are going to raise their children in their traditions. You're basically saying, don't raise your kids. I'm going to raise you, but I'm going to make sure that I don't subject you to any of my beliefs, any of my values. Let's not be absurd here. In the same way that atheists are going to raise their kids with what they believe to be true, that's what upbringing is. And God willing, one day when you have children, and I look forward to bouncing them on my knee, you'll probably do the same thing. You probably won't say, little Shmuley, because that's what you'll name one of your kids, Scott. I want you to go to synagogue even though there is no God. You're going to raise him, the way. And as far as Benedict the 16th, that's what your question was specifically about Benedict XVI. Right? I want to be very fast. Look, I met the Pope. I was there with a delegation. They tried to convince us about Pius XII. They showed us documents. I was unconvinced. And I said so, and I remain friendly with them. I agree with Hitchens, with Christopher Hitchens completely on the Catholic churches. But you can't blame the whole church. But yes, it was the leadership and it was Pius XII. And he should not be beatified. He should not be canonized. But Pope John XXIII saved so many Jews during the Holocaust, was a very outspoken, and he's the one who convened Vatican II. He was a great man. In religion there are great men and there are people who aren't.
Should the present Pope be against kidney torture?
Of course he should, and he should be held accountable, and I'm not excusing that in the slightest. But I'm not excusing it in the slightest. Let me make that absolutely clear. When religion perpetrates atrocities and must take full responsibility and never whitewash its sins, period, because that violates everything it believes in, and the great sin of the religious is hypocrisy, okay? But let me just say, as far as the Jewish community is concerned, to answer that other questioner in 10 seconds, the Jewish community is grateful to Benedict XVI for the overtures he's made to the community. He's visited 3 synagogues in his papacy, which is only, I think, 4 years old now. That's a rarity among popes, and he's really reached out, and I consider him a friend to the Jewish community, but that is unrelated to everything that happened with children. Thanks for coming, Scott.
I think this is our last question.
Okay.
Oh, hi. Okay. Christopher, great to see you in person finally. It's a real honor.
Wait, what am I, chopped liver
I'm
over
sorry,
here?
no,
What am
Rabbi,
I?
no, because listen, my question's for you.
Am I not here in person? Am
So,
I like
no,
an apparition
you're-
or something?
No, this is
or,
totally with you. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right.
Not-
so
not
I've
to
been,
be outdone.
I've been. So I'm involved in the erotic arts for some years now.
The erotic arts.
Yes.
I got an
And-
interview for a book, okay.
And
Did they mutilate you as a child?
I'm sorry.
Were you mutilated
No,
as
I'm
a child?
Jewish.
Oh, so they did mutilate you.
I guess so, but I
Okay.
still receive sexual pleasure. Quite okay.
Oh, okay.
So my thing is that I have like a lot of
Too much
sensitivity when it
information.
comes to organizations and groups who are stifling sexual expression in America. Most of them seem to be Christian and Catholic based. I'm assuming if Islam had a greater foothold in America, I'd probably be hearing a lot from them as well. But I don't really hear a lot from Jewish organizations when it comes to stifling sexual expression. And I'm wondering if I'm wrong there, or am I onto something?
Jews like sex.
Okay. Thank you.
I bet Catholics also like sex. And Lisa Oz is a Christian, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not going to speak for what you like or not.
It depends who's defining it. I'm also a member of a cult by someone else's definition, so that's
okay.
why I hesitate.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I suppose it's possible to like sex without liking women. Well, in fact, I suppose in theory it must be possible. But if you see I'm identifying something essentially implausible or potentially horrible, what I mean to say is this. When I say religion is man-made, in other words, it shows every sign of being produced by a primate species that's half a chromosome away from chimpanzee, I don't just mean man-made in that sense. I mean male-made. It's very noticeable, especially of the monotheisms, that they are run by and for men and founded by and for men. The Jewish prayer, I don't have to tell you, used to begin, the Orthodox one still does, thank God for not making me a Jew, a Gentile or a woman. I don't need to labor to you what the Quran says about the place of women in religion. And the disabilities laid upon women by Christianity are, again, too numerous to mention. It's too obvious that the repression of the female is a principle of monotheism for it to be overlooked. Doesn't mean that pleasure can't come from repression. Some people say it can. Try anything once. But I think it's an unhealthy thing, surely. And isn't it rather noticeable that in debates even in this city on, for example, the rights of homosexuals, that Orthodox Jewry at least seems to take it as a particularly strong responsibility to oppose any manifestation of gay life. I don't know why that should be, or what its scriptural authority for that is. I suppose it's probably Leviticus, as with Christianity.
Well,
it's something you can't not notice if you're interested in the subject.
I'm an Orthodox rabbi. This morning I was on Rosie O'Donnell's radio show, organized by Terry Caden, who was
That's
one of
going
the
too far.
And I have a gay Orthodox Jewish brother who's Orthodox. And